Okay, now this dictionary of yours has been translated into English and Afrikaans. So is Afrikaans still primarily, or is Afrikaans the mother tongue for most of these people?
In the case of Xhosa, no. Xhosa has approximately 11,000 speakers left, and for the majority of those speakers, it is their mother tongue. So Afrikaans is then their second or additional language, and it's their lingua franca. So that is a trilingual dictionary that we worked on. It's illustrated as well, and it also comes with an interactive CD so that people can practice at home creating the sounds and the words, because to read it on your own is a tricky feat. So the CD is really helpful for adults and for children, and so those speakers specifically, their mother tongue is definitely Xhosa, and even those children that I work with, sometimes their first day of school is the first time that they'll ever hear the English language. And Afrikaans is the sort of lingua franca, but the trouble is that the area in which they live, the government schools provide education in English. So now they have to tackle being educated in a third or fourth language. So this dictionary is very helpful for them and for their teachers to assimilate between the languages, and for the students to understand their teachers better, and more importantly for those teachers to understand their children better, because often the classes are very mixed. So they're not only San children in the classroom, but Herero and Ovambo as well. And often because the San children are the least used to going to school, because they're nomadic still in that area, they really struggle, and so the dropout rate is very high. So we're hoping that this tool will just facilitate and spark a little bit more interest for them to stay in school a little longer.
Is your aim, I guess, ultimately then to see these indigenous languages becoming a language option at some of these schools, second language option?
In Namibia, they've already come quite far, and it is. So for San languages in Namibia, you can take it up to grade 3 as your mother tongue, and then thereafter transfer into English or Afrikaans, because those are the two languages of instruction. Khoesan, for example, in Namibia as well, you can take that as a subject all the way up to matric, and you can study it at the University of Namibia. Unfortunately, in South Africa, we are yet to have any courses offered at a university level in any Khoi or San languages, and nor in our schools. So from that point of view, we need to play catch up. But I think collaboration between the Southern African countries and these language speakers would really benefit language and education, especially for young children and their rights in the early phase development.
Now, the illustrations in your book, I believe, are done by San artists. What's being done to preserve those sort of aspects of the San culture? So language aside.
Yes, arts and culture is a very popular topic, and it means that so many more people can get involved, because in comparison to the language work, it's very much revolves around language and literacy, and for many speakers are not literate in any language, let alone their mother tongue. So arts and cultures is much more inclusive and much more intergenerational, so that works out really well. Dance, especially traditional dance, has really gone quite commercial, so it has moved away from the traditional use of the dance, which is to heal and also to celebrate. So there are different dances for different purposes, and for performing purposes they choose to select certain dances to show to the public, but not all. So those special dances that are used for very special rituals are still used today, but not in the public eye. Arts and crafts especially, these are things that you very much find in what they call padstalletjies, so little side road stalls where you find somebody selling an ostrich eggshell necklace, porcupine quills, all these sorts of rock arts that they will paint onto clippies that they find on the side of the road. So unfortunately, that really needs support, and for them to exhibit their work in a much more professional manner. So there's a lot of upliftment that still needs to take place in terms of arts and culture and representation, and also a huge outcry is independence. So they want to be working alongside people for the development of arts and culture, versus what's happened in the past where their art has been purchased and sold overseas and they only get a very small percentage thereof. just an interesting note in terms of art and culture, if you look at our South African currency, so if you look at a 10 Rand note, for example, you'll see little Bushman paintings on there. And that was done by an artist that lives just outside the Kalahari Reserve, and he has a art patstaliki just on the side of the road. So everyone has a little bit of Bushman art in their pocket.